In the vast terrain of the human soul, few forces are as elusive yet as decisive as emotion. It rises unbidden like a tide, sways our choices like wind to a sail, and often governs our lives in silence. Welcome to Guide to Reads, your companion in a journey where books are more than pages. They are mirrors, windows, and maps to the unseen realms within us. Today, we open the first page of Shift, Managing Your Emotions, So They Don't Manage You, a compelling work by the esteemed psychologist Ethan Kross. This book doesn't merely explain emotions, it offers a path to reclaim them, to understand their language, and to rise from being a captive of emotional storms to becoming their wise navigator. Have you ever found yourself lifted to euphoric heights by joy one day, only to be hurled into a pit of anxiety the next, feeling as though you're strapped to a ride you never chose? Emotions, as Kross reminds us, are both sculptors and shadows of our inner lives. Sometimes they roar, demanding our attention. Sometimes they whisper, subtly shaping every choice we make, every word we say, every silence we keep. Yet most of us wander through life without a compass for these invisible forces. We react, we absorb, we endure, but rarely do we steer. And that, dear listener, is where this book and this episode comes in. It is not too late. Emotional mastery is not a talent bestowed upon the lucky. It is a craft, a skill, a learnable art. Using science-backed tools and timeless insight, Shift offers a way forward. In this episode, we'll explore 6 essential ideas drawn from the book, each one a key to unlock a new level of emotional clarity, understanding the true essence of emotion, using your senses to transform your state, learning how to zoom your attention in or out, designing environments that nourish the soul, managing the emotional pull of social influences, and building a system that makes change endure. So if you, like so many of us, yearn to move from reaction to intention, from chaos to clarity, join us now. Let us turn the page together and begin. Don't forget to subscribe to Guide to Reads and tap the bell icon, so you never miss a step on this journey through the wisdom of books and the depths of the human spirit. Chapter 1. We cannot escape emotion, but we can learn to shift its shape. What if I told you that the very emotions you struggle to silence are not your enemies, but ancient messengers trying to guide you? From the quiet murmur of morning moods to the emotional earthquakes that shape life's pivotal moments, emotions are the invisible currents beneath every human choice. At times, they whisper like a background melody. At others, they crash like thunder, coloring our days in hues of joy, anger, anxiety, or longing. Whether subtle or fierce, emotions are ever present, our most loyal, if unpredictable, companions. And though they may seem inconvenient or irrational, emotions are not mere distractions from logic. They are logic's partner. The myth that emotions and reason stand at odds is just that, a myth. In truth, our emotional responses arise from a deeply intertwined dance between body and mind. A racing heart, a tightened throat. These sensations gain meaning only when filtered through thought. And so, emotion is born, part feeling, part thought, wholly human. Through the lens of evolution, emotions reveal their deeper purpose. They are not flaws in our design, they are features of survival. Fear pushes us to flee. Sadness invites reflection. Anger stirs us to act. Even guilt, often unwelcome, whispers reminders of our values. These so-called negative emotions are not errors to be fixed. They are signals to be heeded. But therein lies the challenge. What happens when these emotions overstay their welcome, grow louder than reason, or arrive uninvited and unfiltered? We cannot stop emotions from appearing, no more than we can still the rising sun. But we can learn how to shift them. We can learn to regulate their intensity, their duration, their direction. This is where emotional regulation steps in, not as a way to suppress or deny what we feel, but as a means to navigate it with grace and wisdom. Like a skilled sailor adjusting the sails rather than cursing the storm, we too can learn to steer. How? By becoming aware of both our internal levers and our external environments. In this chapter, we will discover 4 key tools, 2 that lie within and 2 that surround us. You may already know them intuitively. In fact, you may have used them without recognizing the quiet science that supports them. But today, we name them. We understand them. And we learn how to use them with intention. Yet before we explore these tools, let us pause for a vital truth. Regulating emotion does not mean chasing constant calm, or building a life immune to hardship. It means becoming fluent in the language of your inner world. It means learning to stand steady, whether the winds of joy or sorrow blow. For some, this process is supported by therapy, by medicine, by the wisdom of professionals. That, too, is part of the journey. But for all of us, it begins with a shift in perspective, a realization that we are not helpless passengers on this emotional ride. We can choose how to move. We can choose how to respond. And in that choice, we reclaim a quiet kind of power. Chapter 2. The Senses, your first internal shifter. Imagine if the path to calm, clarity, or courage were just one breath, one scent, one sound away. Long before neuroscience gave names to neurons and synapses, our ancestors knew this truth instinctively. The senses shape the soul. A flickering fire, the whisper of wind, the scent of rain on dry earth. These weren't just experiences, they were signals, deeply tied to emotional memory and survival. In the world of emotion regulation, our senses are the quiet gatekeepers of our inner state. They require no philosophical pondering, no long journaling sessions, only presence. A song can soothe you before your brain catches up to the why. A fragrance can invigorate before a single thought is formed. That's because the senses are direct lines into the brain's emotional circuitry. And once they're triggered, they speak a language older than words. This is the first internal shifter, sensory input. Think of your senses as switches, subtle yet powerful. They send messages upstream, shaping the brain's interpretation of the moment. Over time, these impressions form feedback loops, emotional habits forged through repetition and intensity. The more emotionally charged the experience, the more it imprints, preparing us to respond faster next time. But here's the beauty. While emotions can be loud and unruly, sensory regulation is quiet and effortless. It bypasses resistance. This is what psychologists call the law of least work. Our nervous systems are wired to choose the easiest route to balance. That's why sensory tools are so effective. They offer small actions with deep returns. Let's take a simple example. Bedtime. When the day quiets, anxiety often rises. Looping thoughts churn, and rest slips away. Your body, alert and restless, prepares for action, when all you want is stillness. What if you didn't fight that storm with sheer will, but guided it instead? The sound of waves, the scent of lavender, a soft amber light. These are not luxuries, they are tools. Tools that tell your nervous system, you are safe, you may let go now. And if you stack them, that's sensory bundling, pairing multiple calming cues to magnify their effect. It's not childish, it's wise, strategic, and deeply human. So here's your gentle assignment. Begin to notice. Which sounds, scents, textures lift you or settle you? Which throw you off course? Build your toolkit like an artist builds a palette. Intentionally, curiously, lovingly. Because managing emotion isn't always about thinking harder or doing more. Sometimes it's about listening closely to what your body has known all along. Chapter 3. Attention, the second internal shifter. If the senses are the gatekeepers of the body, then attention is the compass of the mind. Close your eyes and imagine a spotlight. It doesn't shine everywhere at once. No, it chooses. It moves. It lingers. That's your attention, the quiet force deciding what you see, feel, and ultimately become aware of. And though it often runs on autopilot, it can be guided by choice, by wisdom, by will. This is the second internal shifter, attention. Unlike animals who react instinctively, we humans are gifted with a rare and powerful tool, the ability to choose what to focus on and for how long. We can pull closer to what aches inside us, or take a step back when the weight becomes too much. We can spiral into memory, or rise toward possibility simply by moving the beam of awareness. But make no mistake, this isn't about avoidance or blind positivity. Sometimes stepping back is not a weakness, but a strategy. A moment of space to let the emotional waters still. Like the body's immune system defends us from harm, attention too can shield us from emotional overload, if used with care. There's an art to knowing when to face the storm and when to seek shelter. When ruminations gnaw at your peace, when self-criticism becomes your only inner voice, a temporary redirection toward nature music, movement, can be medicine. But if distraction becomes your daily escape, if every feeling is numbed before it's named, then perhaps it's time to turn gently inward. So take a moment now or later and ask yourself, where does your spotlight rest? Does it dwell on imagined fears? On past stings? Or does it shine on connection, beauty, the small now? Attention, when trained, becomes a skill of freedom. The freedom to approach a retreat, not as reflex, but as a conscious act. And that freedom is where healing begins. Because what we choose to notice shapes what we become. Section 4. External shifters. Spaces. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt different? Lighter, calmer, perhaps even more focused? That's no accident. The spaces we occupy don't just contain us. They shape us. They act as silent partners in our emotional experience, gently guiding how we think, feel, and behave, often without our awareness. So far, we've explored two internal shifters: senses and attention. Now, let's step outside ourselves and examine how the external world, specifically our physical environments, can help us recalibrate emotionally. Let's begin with a powerful but often overlooked tactic: changing your space. Sometimes, the simplest shift in scenery can disrupt a mental rut. Moving from a cluttered desk to a sunny bench or trading a noisy street for a quiet library can rewire your emotional state in minutes. Nature, in particular, is a proven emotional regulator. Just a brief walk beneath leafy trees or beside running water can renew your sense of calm and clarity. But sometimes, you don't need to go anywhere at all. Modifying your existing space can be just as transformative. Rearranging your environment, decluttering a crowded shelf, or adding a meaningful item, a photograph, a candle, a plant, can anchor your mind in comfort or creativity. These personal touches whisper reminders of safety, connection, or joy, especially when emotions run high. Here's a practical reflection. Consider doing a quick space audit. Think about the 3 places you spend most of your time. How do they make you feel? What emotions do they invite or resist? Then, ask yourself, what small changes could I make to feel more at ease, more energized, or more grounded in these places? Emotionally intelligent living isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, intentional shifts, inside and out. And the spaces around you are always ready to help, if you're willing to listen to what they're saying. Section 5. External shifters. People emotions are more contagious than we realize. Walk into a room and within seconds, someone else's stress or joy can settle into your chest like your own. You may not notice the shift at first, but your tone of voice changes, your posture adapts, your thoughts start to echo the room's rhythm. That's the quiet power of people, our second external emotional shifter. Like weather fronts, emotional currents pass between us constantly. A colleague's sigh, a friend's laughter, the slight edge in a stranger's reply. These subtle cues ripple outward, changing the emotional climate. It's a phenomenon psychologists call emotional contagion, and it's more than metaphor. Our nervous systems are wired to sync. But relationships influence us in other ways too, sometimes more quietly, through social comparison. We look to others not only to connect, but to calibrate. Am I doing well enough? Am I behind or ahead? Should I feel grateful or worried? The answers we extract depend heavily on the lens we choose. Comparison by itself isn't good or bad. It can be a source of motivation or a thief of joy. What makes the difference is the story you tell yourself when you look outward. So here's where choice enters. You can't stop emotions from flowing between people, but you can become more aware, more selective. You can lean into the relationships that uplift you and soften your exposure to those that drain you. You can catch yourself in the act of comparison and ask, is this helping me grow or pulling me down? And most of all, you can learn to tune your emotional boundaries so you remain compassionate but not consumed. Think of the people in your life as mirrors and magnets. Some reflect the best in you, some pull you toward who you want to become. The art lies in knowing which is which and choosing to spend your time, energy, and empathy wisely. Section 6. The art of the shift. Whoop, so far, we've explored the subtle levers of emotion, how our senses, our focus, our surroundings, and even the people around us can shape how we feel. But insight alone isn't enough. The real test comes when you're in the middle of the storm, frustrated, overwhelmed, or disconnected, and you need to steer your emotional ship in real time. How do you actually shift? Here's where science meets intention, in a simple, powerful framework called WOOP: wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Start with a wish, something that truly matters to you, not a vague desire, but a heart-level goal. Maybe it's to be more patient with your children. Maybe it's to bring more presence and warmth into your work. Then envision the outcome, the emotional reward of achieving that wish. What would life look like if you succeeded? Can you see the trust in your child's eyes or the renewed energy in your team? Next, meet the obstacle, the honest internal barrier that gets in your way. Maybe it's the stress that clouds your attention, the fatigue that numbs your compassion, the old habits that quietly pull you off course. Finally, make a plan. Not a lofty intention, but a grounded if-then strategy. If I'm tempted to escape into my phone at dinner, then I'll take one deep breath, put it down, and look into my child's eyes. Or, if I leave a draining meeting feeling short-tempered, then I'll pause and offer a word of appreciation to a colleague. This is how change begins, not with grand resolutions, but with tiny, deliberate pivots. WOOP helps you bridge the distance between who you are and who you're becoming. Of course, no plan is perfect. There will be days when the shift feels out of reach, when emotions get the better of you. That's not failure, it's feedback. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Shifting will become less of a struggle and more of a rhythm, a dance between knowing yourself and guiding yourself gently forward. So here's your invitation. Take what you've learned about senses, attention, space, people, and plans, and begin to shape your days with greater awareness. With time, you'll not only change how you feel, but how fully you live. Final reflections: why shift matters. In the quiet moments of chaos, in the breath between reaction and response, shift reminds us of a powerful truth. Emotional mastery isn't repression, it's redirection. A thoughtful dance between awareness and choice. Your senses? They're the emergency brakes that bring you back to now. Your attention? A steering wheel. Where you place it, you go. Your spaces and people? Hidden architects of mood, quietly shaping your inner weather. And WOOP? The humble bridge between wishful thinking and meaningful change. You are not at the mercy of your emotions. You are their sculptor, their guide, their wise and watchful architect. So, what's your next shift? Let us know in the comments. Should we dive into emotional agility, the happiness trap, or explore another gem in the world of mind mastery? If this episode stirred something within you, like, subscribe, and tap the bell to keep walking this path with us. Until next time, keep reading, keep reflecting, and above all, keep becoming.